Yo, 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 it's the Bleachers Boys. We are back from the dead. It's been a kind of a little of a hiatus, but life happens sometimes. Some of us are transitioning, some of us are busy. But Gab, buddy, how you been doing?
Man, been good. Been good. Work's been crazy. Life's been crazy, but we're hanging in there. We live to fight another day. We're looking down at the dirt, not up at it. So we're blessed to be here, man. How about yourself?
Man, I'm pretty good. I went to Florida last week, and my uncles who've been talking trash because I started golfing this year. They invited me out to a course that actually was only about 15 minutes from my parents' house. It was a pretty solid course. And I went there and rented some $50 clubs. And like, I couldn't tell you what the brand was that they were, but the ping from the driver sounded like a 1998 TPX bat.
Yeah,
And everything was like super short, but I ended up pulling out a one stroke win.
there you go.
So for me, a win is a win. So I'm still riding off a like a 10-day high from that right now.
Oh yeah. Especially when the uncles talk a little bit of they talk a little bit of smack. You gotta go out there and show them. And even when you don't have your own clubs, it feels a little bit better too.
Yeah, yeah. So they're already trying to rally me for round two. I said I got to travel back now, so we'll be bringing the big boy clubs down when we come next time.
There you go. There you go. Yeah, I'll send you over, and I know there's some people that watch us that have travel cases.
Yeah.
Get you a good travel case. That's a massive thing, man. We've had some people at Timber, and Papa Murph can tell you about it, that have gotten some clubs destroyed
Mm,
traveling, and they thought they had them secured. Yeah, it sucks, but
yeah.
it is what it is. But yeah, get you some good ones.
I will. I will. All right, so man, let's hop right into it. It's been a few weeks since we have done a pod. A lot has happened. We are now in the World Series. We're 4 games into the World Series. We got a 2-2 tie. And we'll get into a little bit of baseball. We've had a huge. The NBA started last week, so we're about a week into the NBA season. Most teams have played 3 to 4 games by now. I think most teams have played their 4th game by tonight. So NBA is off to start, and the NFL is going into week 9 now. So
Hmm.
NFL is pretty much at the halfway mark, which is pretty crazy. I feel like the year is kind of flying by already. I feel like it was just a couple of weeks ago we were doing fantasy predictions and opening week predictions and all that good stuff. But man, let's since we are about the halfway mark, we got a good idea of where the league is, where it may be going. Um, why don't you give me your top 6 team power rankings? And this is power rankings of how you see it. So I'll give you the floor to set it up how you see it, and then you give me your 6 teams.
Yeah, so one thing, man, we kind of talked about this off screen or off camera a little bit. I'm very big on like point differential. That's a big thing to me. How many can you go out there and score, and how many can you keep others from scoring? Of course, a little bit plays into that with schedule and strength of schedule and all that. I think at number one, you got to have the Colts. The Colts just look like they are the truth this year. They look like they are for real. And like they're going to do some damage moving forward. Number two, I'm gonna go ahead and take the Lions in that spot. Just off of test, what they've lost, everything else, they still look like they're maybe a notch back. So I think that's kind of why you wouldn't have them at a one spot. But I'm really liking the Lions in that number two spot. My number three is going to be the Patriots. I really like the Patriots right now at 6-2. Now strength of schedule for me, playing into that a little bit. I don't love them in that three spot. But I love what they're doing this year. The point differential, I mean, they're going out, they're putting up points. I mean, they look really, really good. The next one that I would have on my list is going to probably have to be in the four spot, gonna be probably the Bills. I don't think they deserve that top three spot. I think their defense is a little suspect for them to be in that top three. Um, I don't know what it is. They're missing something. Um, Five for me is gonna have to be the Eagles. I think you have to still put them somewhere in the conversation, even though the point differential is not great. You got to put them somewhere in the conversation as being one of those top tier teams. And then my last team that's going to go ahead and sneak in there, which actually you're going to love this, but has the second best point differential and looks like they're coming into form, is going to be the Chiefs. The Chiefs' point differential is insane. For them to be in the middle of the pack this year, as far as overall, league standings. I'm looking at it right now. I mean, of those teams that I named, you're talking about the Colts have a plus 116. The next closest is the Chiefs. After that, you have the Lions, the Bills, and then the Eagles with the lowest at plus 23 point differential. Um, I don't wanna be biased and put the Packers in there. There's still some stuff that I wanna see from the Packers. I mean, even though that's, I guess, my team now, there's still some stuff that I don't see that I wish would come together in a sense of, like, first half not looking great, having to really put it together in the second half, but we're making those adjustments. But there's just a couple things that I wanna see come to fruition, and I think you're talking about the Packers kinda really making a jump and being in one of those top spots.
Got it. You got a really solid list. I think your list is probably more on trend with, I think, the general consensus of what the average, probably even sports analysts, um, power rankings would be,
Mhm.
especially and probably about just about as unbiased as you can get. I feel like yours is pretty fair, so I'm definitely not going to give you any pushback on that, because especially based off of the metrics that you use and how you see things. I'll go ahead and start with mine, and mine is I try to marry the eye test. I've watched basically some of every game this year. I don't think I've missed a game this year between red zone, the early slate, the afternoon slate. I've watched every primetime game. So there's not a whole lot I have missed. And then with my schedule being so light, I've watched a lot of highlights, even of the bottom tier teams. But so I'll go with mine. I have the Colts number one. You just you can't you can't I think the only people who truly have the Chiefs number 1 are people who were doubting the Chiefs through a couple of weeks and ready to write them off, who are trying to overcompensate and throw them at the top now to try to save face from the hate. So I don't even have the Chiefs at number 1. The coach, you gotta respect it. They will get into this, the MVP debate, and just, on the next topic, but they have a guy that looks like, or maybe 2 guys that have a front running chance at MVP this year. Like you mentioned, their point differential. Um, you could argue, hey, they haven't beat a ton of elite teams. Yeah, but one thing I always say is I just kind of like quarterbacks. If I either want my quarterback coming from a smaller school and having to deal with adversity and looking like an NFL caliber player, or I want my player like Joe Burrow, who has all the stars around him and they're breaking records and dominating everybody. And the Colts right now are dominating and they're beating up the teams they should beat. And you have to give them their respect from that. So I have the Colts at number one. I do have the Chiefs at number two, kind of based on the eye test and a marriage of the point differential.
Mhm.
Because you look at what their three losses, they lose to the Chargers to open the season. I thought Chargers just beat them straight up. Herbert just beat them straight up to start the season. And then you look at their next two losses. They had a 99-yard interception return during the Jaguars game, and Patrick Mahomes basically had another 14-point swing throwing an interception in the Eagles game. So those games came, I think they lost both those games by a total of 6 points. Every other game they've played have been a blowout game. And they beat the Lions. So they beat a team that is in a lot of 2, 3, 4 slots for a lot of people's power rankings. And their offense is, they have the number 5 offense and the number 5 defense in the NFL going into week 9. So they're definitely trending in the right direction. I have the Packers number 3, and I'll go ahead and say I have the Lions number 4. And you like I watch First Things First, and Kevin Wiles, one of his famous takes is you do this thing in sports where teams actually play each other, and when they play each other, there's a winner and a loser. While the Lions have looked like the Lions of old, which is a great team that looks like they can be in the NFC Championship, if not the Super Bowl, the Packers actually beat them in pretty convincing fashion. And yeah, they had an ugly loss to the Browns, and a tie to the Cowboys, but the Cowboys in themselves, outside of this last game against the Broncos, have been a really frisky team and have one of the top rated offenses. And Dak Prescott is like a top three quarterback in most metrics going right now, and he has two of the better wide receivers going. So I like with the Packers, and I think the Packers in the NFC probably have the best that I think they have more to show than any other team. Like, I know what I'm gonna get out of the Lions. I know what I'm gonna get out of the Eagles. I feel like the Packers have another gear to go, and so I wanna be on the forefront of I think the Packers, and we saw that some of the in their last game where they kind of finally started shifting into another gear, and I think Matt LaFleur is finally taking the governor off of the offense, especially Jordan Love, and letting him kind of cut it loose, because I think Jordan Love has the ability to cut it loose a little bit more. Um, Lions, again, not a whole lot to say here. They've been dominant. Their two losses are to two teams who were playoff teams last year, and one team that made the Super Bowl, and another is a divisional loss to open the season. I think they were still figuring out a couple things that opening game, but they still lost, and lost in convincing fashion. And they've taken care of business, including dominating the Bucks on national TV a couple weeks ago on Monday Night Football as well.
Mhm.
So my number 5 slot is the Patriots, who I picked to make the playoffs this year, and I got a lot of pushback from more in person than anything. But and I picked the Patriots based on I thought what I saw from Drake May as a rookie, I thought that could be honed. I didn't think I would see this from Drake May. I thought I would see maybe 85% of this, but Josh McDaniels has really seemed to unleash him. They have a complementary set of weapons,
Mhm.
and Mike Vrabel is just a coach's coach. Like, my pick for the Patriots was actually a little less about Drake May and more of my belief in Mike Vrabel, what I saw him do in Tennessee, and I knew him taking over this franchise, he would get them going in the right direction. And I also like the fact that they also pretty much dominated the Bills in their head-to-head matchup. And spoiler alert, the Bills aren't in my top 6 power rankings um, for that fact, because my last team on this list is the Eagles. They've looked impressive. You can say what you want about Jalen. They still have a little bit of the AJ drama going on, but I mean, Jalen has 20 touchdowns, 1 interception. Saquon finally started getting going. Their defense is solid enough. They made a trade today, trading a cornerback for John Michie. Um, and they're still defending title, and their schedule is still pretty tough, but the Eagles have seemed to be very battle tested through. And my 2 honorable mentions are, not in any order, the Rams and the Bills right behind, just on the outside and looking at the top 6.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think we're very on par with the consensus of what everybody else is gonna say. With the exception of maybe some. I mean, I think there will be some people out there that are gonna try to throw, the Chargers, the Rams in that top 6, but I just don't see how you do that. The one team that I feel like is kinda getting overshadowed a little bit, and I will say this, is the Seahawks.
Yeah.
I think the Seahawks are very, very good. And I do think that you can make a strong case for them to be in that top 6. Like, if somebody came to me and was like, "Well, why not the Seahawks?" Like, I would be like, "Yeah, yeah, you're probably right." Like, I think they're very interchangeable with the Eagles. They're very interchangeable with the Bills. Like, I think they're on that level, in my opinion, and that's just my opinion. But, nah, man, I think we're spot on.
One more thing, we can move on to the next subject. I 100% agree with you on the Seahawks. I was really more decided between them and the Eagles than even I was with the Rams. And by the way, I can send y'all a screenshot. I put money on the Seahawks to win their division and make the playoffs this year, along with the Patriots. So
Mhm.
I'm a Seahawk believer. I think Sam Darnold is legit, and I believed in their head coach and their defense. Now I didn't expect Jackson Smith. I expected Jackson because I drafted him in two of my other leagues away from the league that I'm in with Gavin. So I
Mhm.
did expect him to be a top 7 or 8 wide receiver because in all my leagues I drafted in the bottom of the draft. But I didn't expect him to be number 1 and 2 in pretty much every wide receiver metric, I think outside of like touchdowns.
Yeah.
But he's still dominating yards and dominating in receptions. And he looked like he's going to finish as a top 5 receiver this year. And he's very, very legit. So, um, and they have a good, their running back room has stayed relatively healthy this year, and they have a great running back duo as well to be complementary. So, I think I fully expect the Seahawks to be on top of that NFC West division. Um, but parlaying that into the next subject, which is who is your mid-season MVP?
Yeah, so for me, it's coming out of the you kind of alluded to it a little bit ago. Mine is Jonathan Taylor. Um, I don't see how you don't give it to the guy at this point. Now, this is just talking about today, the way everything stands. A healthy Jonathan Taylor with what he has been putting up, and that is saying, and me saying this is insinuating that he's going to continue this success throughout the season. I don't think he's going to get it even if he does continue because of the quarterback bias that has become the NFL MVP award. Realistically, if you want me to be honest, they just need to make a best quarterback in the league award and then a true MVP award. So you don't feel bad about, hey, the quarterback, whatever. Like, I think the MVP, I mean, should be kind of a separate award. There's been years where, people are winning MVP and you're just like, "Ah, but yeah, but, you could have made a case for Jonathan Taylor. You could have made a case for Saquon." There's that type of deal. But to me, it's Jonathan Taylor without a doubt, the way it stands today. Let me hear yours.
Mine is also Jonathan Taylor. And interestingly enough, because I was watching a Dan Patrick show and Steve Young was on, and they were talking about MVP and like who theirs was and how it is a quarterback award. And my wife was like, "Man, it's BS." So I actually had a pretty intelligent conversation with my wife, and I'm going to clip this and send it to her because she actually made. And she's a very casual fan. But we actually had a very good back and forth of, like, what MVP actually means, and the only thing I gave her pushback on is why I think it has become such a quarterback dominant award is because it's still at the end of the day, we'll take I think probably out of the 3 running backs running right now, the last 3, Christian McCaffrey 2 years ago probably had the best case out of the 3 guys right now because I feel like he was truly the engine that made that 49ers team run. Quan, I felt like had a lot to say about it, but Jalen and AJ Brown and Devontae Smith and the offensive line still had a lot. Like Christian McCaffrey didn't have the O line that
No,
Philadelphia has last year, and
no,
definitely doesn't have because I actually think the real MVP, especially looking at a lot of Jonathan Taylor highlights, and a lot have been broken down the last 2 weeks, where there's like a lot of gaping holes and he's not being touched for 3 to 4 yards, especially in that Tennessee Titans game last week. The real MVP is the Colts offensive line. Because I think Daniel Jones has only been sacked like 4 times all year. He's having a career year himself. And then Jonathan Taylor is uh getting like 3 to 4 yards before he's even touched. But at the same time, he's still leading the league in yards from scrimmage and yards after contact, and leading the league in broken tackles. So, like, I'm not trying to throw any shade at all on Jonathan Taylor because I think he's having a career year. I saw he is the first player since Jamal Charles, I think in 2017 or 2017 to have in a 3-game stretch 500 yards and 10 touchdowns, which is just crazy to think about. Um, and of course, he's on pace. He's on pace to have over 2,000 yards from scrimmage and to be one behind LaDainian Tomlinson's 31 touchdowns from scrimmage, which is just asinine to think about. But Jonathan Taylor is my midseason MVP, at the same time, I will admit that he is probably going to get the war like Saquon got and Chris McCaffrey got, which is best offensive player of the year award. Which honestly, last year you could have argued Jamar Chase winning Triple Crown should have gotten the offensive player of the year over even
Mhm.
what Saquon did.
Yeah.
Uh, but and this is my last thing. The bigger difference between even what Saquon did last year going against Josh Allen and Lamar and Jonathan Taylor going up against Drake May and Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen, who are the next three highest favorites along with them, is that Jonathan Taylor through 8 games has 15 touchdowns. Saquon for the entire year last year had 16. So he's on pace to have double or just under double the amount of touchdowns Saquon had last year. And but I also think Jalen Hurts and Josh Allen are two of the biggest touchdown vultures there are. You love them if they're on your fantasy team, but they have both probably cost James Cook and Saquon, who both got new contracts this year, probably another $8 million per year.
Mhm.
Because both of those guys should have well over 20 rushing touchdowns last year.
Mhm.
But enough about that. We'll keep it in football and let's move on into uh, who is in your Super Bowl bubble. So, who are the contenders? It could be 2 teams, it could be 10 teams. What halfway through the season, what teams do you think have a legitimate shot? We'll just say to make it to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, so I think you got, of course, the Colts. I think in the division that they're in, how do they how do you not say that they have a good run, especially coming out of the AFC? I don't see if they get a bye, it's gonna be really interesting, and I think they're in a position to set themselves up to be a legitimate, have a legitimate shot at it. The other one, of course, in the AFC is gonna be the Patriots. I think both of those teams are poised to kind of make a legitimate run in the playoffs, depending on how everything shakes out, moving forward coming out of the AFC. Those are my two. I think like you're kind of talking about like shoe-ins at this point in time, like where everything stands for the AFC. For the NFC, I'm gonna have to go with the Packers. I think that division is tough, but I think if they come out of it, you're gonna see them really make a run in playoffs because I think the playoffs are gonna be easier than what their divisional games have been all year. If you're picking up what I'm putting down, almost similar to the SEC, like, I always say, like, "Hey, like, teams coming out of the SEC, they're going into the college football playoff, like, typically are gonna have a better run because they have played better competition throughout the year." Now, that's kind of not coming true anymore, and that's a whole 'nother area of discussion, but the Packers out of the NFC, and then I think you have to kinda go you gotta go with the Seahawks, and the simple fact of and this is the one reason with the Seahawks, there's nobody out there to give them any competition in the West, in my personal opinion. I think those are the 4 out of the AFC and the NFC. Now when you're talking dark horses or kind of on the bubble that I think could make a chance at it, you gotta go with the Lions right there in the, NFC North. They're close, they're right there. You have to go with them as well as the Bucks. The Bucks got a chance if they can get people healthy though, because not having Mike Evans anymore is a big piece of that puzzle, but they're gonna make a run into the playoffs. They're not gonna go far, but they're gonna go farther than I think what people think. Especially since this is their bye week, they got a chance to get everybody healthy again. You're gonna watch them kind of progress forward. And then in the AFC, your dark horse for me is going to be the Broncos. The Broncos, I think what they're showing is they're showing that they're really coming into full form. The only reason I'm not can't buy too much stock in it is they just lost Sertan, and I don't know how long he's out for. But
4 to 6 weeks.
man, do what? How long was it?
4 to 6 weeks.
Yeah. So losing Sertan's gonna hurt. But man, there's some teams that, and this is one thing I think a lot of people are kind of forgetting about this year. Barring a couple injuries, there's some teams that could be legitimate contenders to make some deep playoff runs if they're fully healthy. One of those is absolutely the Bengals. I think the Bengals, if they were fully healthy the way that the AFC looks this year, I don't know if the Bills are the Bills of last year. I think the Chiefs are coming back to form, but I don't know if they're there yet. They could get there at the playoff time. The Chargers, I think, are overhyped. The Jaguars are struggling to find their footing. I think you're about to see a full rebuild there. The other team that I think if they were healthy, that I think could really kind of make I don't want to say a push, but could really maybe do a little bit of damage would be the Cowboys. I think the Cowboys, if they were all fully healthy, if they don't lose CD for a couple games, they have all their defensive guys there. I think there's a chance. The way that offense is playing is kind of crazy this year. I don't think a lot of people saw it coming. I know I've said for a long time that one thing that's true about Dak is no matter what, that man could be in a wheelchair and can still sling the pigskin. I mean, he's still gonna let that thing fly. So yeah, man. I mean, but those four, the Packers, the Seahawks, and then the Colts and the Patriots are at the top of my list right now.
Gotcha. All right. So for me, teams I think that can make it to the Super Bowl this year, as we're saying right now,
Mm-hmm.
I have the Packers,
Yep.
I have the Lions,
Yep.
I have the Seahawks,
Yep.
and I have the Eagles. I think all those teams are going to be battle tested enough. All those teams are healthy enough, or going to get like I know the Lions secondary is banged up just a little bit still.
Yeah.
They just signed Aiden Hutchinson to the largest guaranteed non-quarterback contract today. So shout out to them. I don't know how they keep paying all these guys, like the Eagles do, but um, I think all those teams have enough experience, good enough coaches. The only team that's kind of new to the ball game is the Seahawks, but they just missed a playoff last year, and I think Sam Darnold is definitely an upgrade um, over what Geno was even for them last year, and their defense is much better than last year. And they've already beat some. They beat some playoff caliber teams. The Eagles are, I mean, mine's a little bit offensive line drop off and a little defensive line drop off. They're still solid. And the Lions and Packers, we already just, same thing I'll echo from my power rankings. And the two teams, I agree with the Buccaneers. I think if they can get healthy and stay healthy, that they can make a legit run to the NFC Championship game. Baker definitely has a lot of magic in him. He can't do it all. He does need every quarterback, even Mahomes, needs a decently healthy cast of weapons to help them make plays, especially in the playoffs. And then the Rams. Rams are playing very good football. Um, Even their losses have been close, kinda like the Buccaneers outside of the Lions game. They've had arguably the best wide receiver duo when they've been healthy this year, and Puka and Devontae Adams, and they probably have a top 2 to 3 defensive line this year. Anytime you have any team that has a top 5 defensive line is gonna make waves in the playoffs, and then Matt Stafford has been there, done that. It seems like his back is healthy, and there's nothing wrong with his arm, so they're definitely a dark horse out of NFC. I go teams I think can make the Super Bowl this year. The team I'm gonna actually start with a team that I don't think can make it, but is gonna make the playoffs, and that's the Patriots. I just think just the team overall is too young, too inexperienced, and I think the lights would get a little bit too bright in either the divisional round or the wild card round or the divisional round. But like I'm already saying, not knowing the moves they're gonna make in the offseason, the Patriots right now for next year's AFC Championship game, I would have them as a favorite just because I think they make one more leap going forward with some good offseason moves and a good draft. And they
Now,
Now, saying that, they could be one of the teams that makes a trade deadline for Raheem Shaheed or AJ Brown. They've already the Saints have pretty much already said they're not trading Chris Olave. So again, right now, but if they make a trade, I'll get on here and I'll probably change that. But as they are currently constituted, I think they are definitely a playoff team, but not a Super Bowl ready team. Um, you have something to say?
No, I was gonna say, I think the one thing I personally, and this is where we're gonna disagree, I think that currently the way it stands today and what I've seen on Sundays, they are I think they're on the cusp. Like, they're right there. Like, they are one play away from a championship game to make it to the Super Bowl. I will say that. Now, with that trade deadline coming up, they go acquire a piece, and I don't think they're going to get one of your. Vrabel's not going to go get one of your guys that everybody else is talking about. He's going to go pull something out of a hat like Jacoby Myers, or he's going to go pull somebody that he likes, that he wants, not that everybody else wants, and that'll be the piece that they need to pair with Stefan. But that, go ahead. I'll let you continue.
Yeah. I just I love the Patriots. I have money I have money riding on the line for them. Like my gas money in Q1 of next year is dependent upon the Patriots making the playoffs. Um, but I think I don't. We'll see if they make a move. But that's just my one thing, and I think is like you said, literally. But if they beat the Bills twice in 1 year, I will put them in.
Okay.
It's just going through the AFC is different going through the NFC, and we've seen year after year making it to the Super Bowl out of AFC, which has not been done by anybody except for Patrick Mahomes and Joe Burrow in the last and Tom Brady in the last decade. That you basically have to have even though Joe Burrow is not an all pro, you have to have a superhero level quarterback to make it through the gauntlet of the AFC. And Drake May, I think, is on the cusp of that, but I think he's one more year away. But him destroying the Browns how he did, is what really flipped the switch for me. So I'm almost there, but I just can't fully commit to
Okay.
it. But to the teams that are actually going to be, so I have the Colts, I have um the Chiefs, I have the Broncos. The Broncos, my biggest caveat to that is Bo Nix. And Bo Nix, I trust their defense because they're going to get Surtain back. He's going to be out max 6 weeks. So he comes back at week 15, 16 at the latest, and they have him for the playoff run. Um, I trust their defense. I trust Sean Payton, their play caller. I like their run game. RJ Harvey is starting to come along the last couple of games. J.K. Dobbins is like top four. I think he's fourth in the league in rushing this year so far. But Bo Nix, he's going to have to hit some big throws. Like any team he plays in the playoffs is going to force Bo Nix to make some big over the top throws, and that's where he's really lacked this year. Uh, Outside of like that Giants comeback
Yeah.
or 2 weeks ago, but I've watched a lot of Broncos games and Bo Nix have missed probably more throws over 20 yards that were open than any quarterback I've seen this year. So that's the only thing that makes me nervous about the Broncos. But he has the ability to hit them. So if he does, they can definitely make it to the playoffs. Um, the Chiefs, we talk about point differential and eye test and how their defense. This is probably the best, most complete team, despite the record that Patrick Mahomes has had in his tenure there. When he first came out, they were very offensive heavy. They couldn't stop a nosebleed. The last couple of years, they've had a top 1 to 5 defense and struggled on offense. But right now, it seems like they're going to be clicking, and we'll know what the Chiefs are really made of in the next 3-game stretch because they have the Bills, then they have a bye, then they have the
Hmm.
Broncos at home, and then they have the Colts. So they're gonna go through three of the 4 best teams that I have in the AFC right now in the next month. And then they have after the Colts, they have the Cowboys on a short week on Thanksgiving. So 4 teams that we're naming that could possibly make it to the Super Bowl are their next 4, 4 games in 5 weeks, or 5 games in 6 weeks, I'm sorry. So we're gonna know if they go 5-6 or 6-0, it's like, the Chiefs are all the way back, and, that's that. And then the Colts, again, like, I'm a little bit hesitant to just crown Daniel Jones, because I believe in their O-line. Their secondary is like, they have got to get help in their secondary. That is by far their weakened unit, and that's their one Achilles heels. They have a routine. They have a solid defensive line, solid linebacker play. With their cornerbacks are and safeties are terrible right now, but they're scoring so many points and getting out early that they're making teams play from behind and putting a lot of pressure on them, and teams just can't keep up right now. But when they do get into a match like what they did with the Broncos earlier in the season, I think it was week 2 or 3, like, even Bo Nix was able to pick them apart when it mattered most. And so the Colts are gonna be a little bit more battle tested in the next month as well. So we'll see what they're really made of. Out of the NFC, or I already said my
Yeah,
NFC.
you covered. Yeah,
I
you
already said,
covered them.
yeah, so
Yeah.
those are my AFC, NFC Super Bowl bubble teams. I got about 8 teams and then another 3 to 4 dark horses thrown in there. I don't the Patriots would be my one dark horse team if Imma have one out of the AFC.
Gotcha. Now, I'll ask you this question, and this is just food for thought. If and we're gonna play what if question here. If Scataboo and Dart are starting game 1 and Dayball just ripped it. I mean, he just went full send. Are you seeing them at the top of their conference, and we might be throwing them in this conversation on a what if?
I would have them as a wild card team,
Yeah.
like, for sure.
No.
Like, I would have them
Yeah.
in the same boat as what I think the Patriots are right now. Like, I
Yeah.
would think they may be leading their division,
Mhm.
but it's still like they still have a little bit to prove, and like, their floor, halfway through the season, they would be 6-2 or 5-3, leading their division by 1 or 2 games, but then their floor ends up being they're still a wild card team.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Mm,
like, I've been saying this to some people in between our this show, because all the Jackson Dart Scataboo stuff has happened pretty much since our last show, and I've been
yeah.
telling, because I have a buddy that's an Ole Miss fan, and then I have some Giant fans, and you see the Scataboo trash talking in our group chat, um, that I thought to start the year, and I like Russ as a dude, but I thought Russ was cooked. I thought they were even better off going with James to start the year than Russ. But I thought after seeing Jackson Dart, because I did see both of his preseason games, that Jackson Dart should have been started from day one, and that their season could be completely different. Because maybe in some weird way, Malik Neighbors doesn't get hurt. So
Yeah.
it's like Malik Neighbors is still there, and they got Scataboo, and even with Tyrone Tracy and Scataboo, because I think Scataboo would have come on either way because he didn't start. Um, but I think if they start Jackson Dart at the beginning of the year, that because I think Scataboo was pretty inevitable. The quarterbacks you just don't know. So I do think if Jackson Dart starts the year, they are the 6 or 7 seed going into the playoff.
Mhm. No, I mean, we had the conversation early on, one of our very first episodes, and I said that I thought Jackson Dart was the best by far passer in the draft. You can go back and fact check me, if Dre watching this, because I know Dre likes to fact check. But yeah, nah, it's just a what if question. That we got a buddy that I talked to, and I was like, man, I was asking him, because whenever he's a Giants fan, and so whenever it happened with Scataboo, I was like, dude, that sucks. Like, I thought you guys were on the right track. Here you go. But yeah. So anyway, just a game of what if.
All right, so, man, I think that pretty much covers a lot of the overwhelming football stuff that we want to cover. So let's transition to a little baseball. We are 4 games through the World Series. It's been probably one of the more entertaining and juicy World Series. I believe we have another. Do they? No, they're off and they come back. Uh, wait, do they have another game tonight?
I'm about to tell you, hold on, because I'm thinking they do. Yeah, they're playing right now.
Yeah, yeah, okay, that's what I
Yeah,
thought. I was looking at gambling on it earlier. I was like, "Nah, I'm staying away from this game,"
yeah.
because I won money on it last night.
And
Uh,
it's actually funny. I just got the ESPN notification. Blue Jays become first team in World Series history to start a game with back-to-back home runs.
wow,
So they're up 2-0 right now.
that's
It
crazy.
looks like. Let me see here. I want to see. Why can I not see? There it is. Box score. I can never look at the game cast. I don't know why. I think that's just like the baseball guy in me from being in a dugout my entire life. Yeah, Schneider and Guerrero went back to back to start the game.
So let's start right there. Is Vladdy having an all-time postseason
Yo, yeah.
run right now? Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
100%. Guy was built for it. It's in his DNA. There's not enough good things, and I'll be honest with you. There was a point in time with Vlad that I was like, I don't see it. I don't see it. Like there was a point in time where I was just like, it's not there, man. Like I don't see it. I don't know. And it seems like as he's matured and gotten older throughout this year specifically, you're just like, holy shit, it's there. Like he's got it. Like it's there. Um yeah, all-time postseason run, like, yeah, I think there are gonna be people that are gonna try to make a case as he is the postseason MVP even if they don't win it.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. But you're gonna have your Shohei people out there that he's doing stuff that nobody's ever done and nobody will ever will do. And but anywho, let's stay on Vladdy just for a second because I saw a stat earlier today that you have to play at least 15 games. So through 15 games, he was third all time in a single season run for OPS.
Jesus.
It was like Barry Bonds at 1.506. It was A-Rod at 1.308, and I think Vladdy at 1.306, and then Pujols at 1.258. I think that's pretty close off the top of my head. And so he obviously him hitting the home run, he's already passed A-Rod after one at bat. So now he's second all time in OPS in a single season run. What well let's jump into predictions first. Who do you think inevitably takes this series?
Dude, I wanna be honest with you, I watch a buttload of PTI with Wilbon
Yeah,
and,
yeah, yeah.
gosh, I'm losing the white dude's name, I can't
Michael
think of it.
Wilbon and Tony.
Yeah, Tony, or whatever his weird last name is, but
Tony,
I
not
watch a
really, but the other ones. Yeah,
yeah, I watch a crap ton of it, when
yeah,
I'm doing my mile at the gym, and so, dude, they have made some great points. The Dodgers bullpen is so suspect right now, and it is in such shambles that people are choosing the Dodgers, and they really should be throwing a little extra on the Blue Jays with how good the Blue Jays bullpen has been. And as baseball guys, we know compared to the casual fan that never played it, pitching and defense wins championships year in, year out. Like it's never failed. So if you're talking about a bullpen pitching, a key component of a championship team, and it's suspect and you can't throw Roki Sasaki out there every single game, you got issues. But predictions for me, it's tough. I want the Blue Jays. I would like to see the Blue Jays take it home. At the same time, it's almost it's gotten to the point with baseball, with MLB, of how do you bet against the Dodgers? Um, but dude, I think if the Blue Jays win it, it's probably one of the best things that could happen for baseball at this point in time.
yeah. I agree. I think it's going to be the Blue Jays just because how they responded in Game 4
Mhm,
after that gut punching. 'Cause I fell
mhm.
asleep. I stayed up till the 15th inning, and then I fell asleep, and I woke up. And as I was walking upstairs, I saw the highlights and I saw Freddie Freeman hit another walk-off home run. I'm like, gosh, like I'm a big Freddie Freeman guy. Like kind of even bittersweet, cheering him on as a Dodger. He's one of the few guys I don't root against, but I'm like, man, was it 16 innings, 18, 16 innings?
It was
Eh,
18.
8 yeah.
18.
So 18 innings, like 6.5 hour game, gut punch loss, like and I'll just say this about the game, all the games that I did watch, it was some of the best as a baseball purist, it was some of the best baseball I've seen, especially, like, on the defensive side. Because like, if you're a Blue Jays fan, you probably question the aggressiveness of some of the base running calls. Like, I know you had the first, Tommy Edmonds, um throwing out the base runner going first to third on the blue over his head. I mean, that was just perfect throw. And then what? A couple plays later, or maybe the next inning later, you had they had Blue Jays had a runner on first base. I forget the guy's name. He was running at first. He was pulling a trailer behind him. The guy throws the ball down the line. I'm like, oh, scoring from first. And then I see the relay, and when I saw Tommy have a clean relay, and I could just tell the throw was going to be online from his release, and I was like, "He's gonna be out by a step," and sure enough, he was out by a step, and it's like but if you're like if you're the Blue Jays manager or really the third base coach, if you're the third base coach, it's like, they have to make a perfect relay to get him out, and that's exactly what they so it was like it was a good baseball call and great baseball execution. All even Vladdy, I know I saw a lot of sports analysts yesterday were like, I didn't know Vladdy had a cannon. It was like,
Yeah,
oh,
he's got the best arm in the MLB for his position.
yeah, but it's like Vladdy came up as a third baseman. Like, I guess y'all forget that because it's what 6, 7 years ago now, 5, 6 years ago. But I was like, Vladdy came up as a third baseman. He had absolutely had a key. I think he had a better arm than Bo Bichette did when he came up as a shortstop. Um, so which Bo Bichette, another guy. Dad was a big leaguer, has a pedigree, like missed all that time through the playoffs coming in, still getting some clutch hits here and there. Like they're getting more out of Bo Bichette than what they were thinking. And I think he'll be a free agent at the end of the year. So like it'll be interesting to see where he goes. But I I think the juju and the way they're hitting, like the Dodgers basically need their starters, including this game, and the way this game has started, it's not trending that way. They need their starters. Was I think Blake Snell was throwing tonight. They need Blake Snell and everybody to go 7, 8 innings because their bullpen is so terrible, and the way the Blue Jays have been hitting all postseason, I think their hitting is sustainable enough to I mean, if they pull out this game out, they would definitely be the favorite, obviously, to win it. But even if they don't, I still think they hit good enough to overtake the Dodgers this year. And like you said, and I'm rooting for that, but I feel that in my bones. But it would be great for baseball for the Blue Jays to win, especially as their team is currently constructed.
Yeah, no. Man, and to speak on on what you just kinda talked about with the aggressiveness. Casuals don't understand. People that didn't do it don't understand. You can ask any of my former players. I always got questioned on because I coached third, and I always got questioned on, "Hey, why'd you send a guy? Why'd you do this? Why'd you do that?" And I always had an answer. But to your point, you're kind of playing a quick game of calculations and risk of the percentages of that guy making the perfect throw, the second baseman or the shortstop now making a clean catch, getting a clean transfer, and making another perfect throw with just my guy just running from, second to home. Like, I'm going to take those odds and those chances every single time because all it takes, and you know this as well as I do, all it takes is, hey, he has one hiccup in the glove and goes to get it out. And that guy's safe, or he throws it and it takes a weird hop on the grass because the grass has a little bit of dew on it because it's late at night and the sun, and it's getting cool outside and the grass is getting a little wet. Now that ball skips instead of hops. And now, I mean, there's so many things. And, everybody wants to be a coach from the stands or from home and from the couch. But when you're in the moment and you're making these quick, I mean, split second, yes, send them, no, don't. You take those odds and you live with it, that's just what you do because you're either gonna live with it, you're gonna make that call and he's safe and you win and you look like the hero and you look like the smartest man on earth, or he gets thrown out by 3 steps and you look like a jackass and you just that's on me. But yeah, so no, this is something that a lot of people don't understand, but it just cracks me up.
Yeah, and then you could play devil's advocate to that because you could say well, y'all are talking about how, or at least Brian, you're talking about how good the Blue Jays have been hitting, and it's like, yeah, but as your third base coach, you're also thinking like, who's on deck? Who's on deck after him? How many outs there are? Like, momentum is a real thing when you're actually playing sports, whether you can see it on TV, like, I could see it on TV or not, but when you're, like, actually playing a game, you really feel when there's a momentum shift. Even if you're, like, you have 0 momentum and then you finally get a guy, a leadoff hitter on and next guy walks, you got first, second, no outs, and you're down 1 run. Even in that, depending on who's coming up to bat, that can be a momentum shift or the momentum shifting in that moment. And then you get well, the the very few base run, and we'll move on after this, but the very few, like, I guess, unwritten rules or golden rule in baseball is you don't make the first or last out at third.
Mhm.
Some guys say you don't make the first or last out at home, and the Blue Jays didn't do that in either situation. So it's like you always want to err on the side of being aggressive. Of course, you got to know the guy who's running bases too, because if you know,
Yeah.
it's not even all about speed. Because some guys are just efficient, clean. They run the bases clean. They take good angles. They hit the inside part. They don't take the huge banana route. So like all those kind of things too. And what guys are like good at sliding, and which guys are kind of like flopping in there and rolling into slides and all that kind
Yeah.
of stuff. And then, like I said, you got to know how good the catcher is too, because like you said, if the guy tries to one hop to throw, which is a safer throw rather than throwing it high, and like I said, it skips and or it short hops, and the catcher has to field it up before applying the like even that
Mhm.
split second could be the difference. So, like I said, you play the odds. I coach a lot of third base when I was a travel ball coach myself, and I always erred, especially at that level. But even at the pro level, at college level, you still have to, because the pressure of what they're playing at as well. And
Mhm.
like some of those guys are just unconscious. Like some of those guys, like you could argue the both of those relays that Tommy Edmonds had, like he him doing it in the World Series is him doing it no different than him doing it in spring training, how
Mhm.
routine it was to him. But that's not the case for every
Mm-mm.
even big leaguer.
Mm-mm. Nah, I mean, dude, you could take a big leaguer and you could sit there and throw him in shallow right field or throw him in, shallow center and tell him to, one hop the bucket at home, and he's got 10 chances to do it. He's probably doing it 2, maybe at best 3. So there's a whole lot of different, things that go into it, but anyhow, we'll move on.
All right. So before the last thing we'll wrap up with the NBA gambling and cheating and points, not really that point shaving scandal. We'll end with that. But before we get to that, man, just give me some of your highlights or maybe like your surprise team. And I know you haven't watched a ton of NBA, but
Yeah.
or maybe just give me some outlooks of the NBA of what you've seen so far or what you hope to see this year.
Yeah, no, the East is wide open.
Yeah.
We knew that coming into it, man. The East is absolutely wide open. My pick still stands with it being the Magic and the Hawks. If they both can stay healthy for a majority of the season, I think that's who you're going to see. The Heat look good. Man, even the Bulls don't look bad. I'm a real fan of the what's his last name? Batuis or something like that? The white
Yeah.
kid that's there, the overseas kid.
Yeah.
I like his game, dude. It looks fluid. I mean, I watched some of his stuff last year and he looks solid. Tell you who looks still good is the Thunder. I've seen a couple of their highlights. You can't miss a Spurs highlight with Wimby. So, I mean, the guy's insane, dude. Like, I mean, to say he's average is you're smoking crack. What he does, like just watching him dunk balls where his hips are back and he's got who was it? Was it AD? I think it was that he dunked on where
Yeah.
his like
Yeah.
hips were back and he like just reaches over AD and you just see AD. He's just sitting there like, what do you want me to do, dude? Like I'm 7 foot. Like what? Like I can't do anything about it. But then if the Spurs can stay healthy, I like their core. I think it's a very Spurs like kind of feel to it. The Sixers, they look okay. They're 4-0. Man, the NBA, you and me both know this. It's a long season. There's a lot that can change from 5 games in, 4 games in. So we'll see where it shakes out. I think the biggest takeaway, though, that you can say is the East is wide open. It's anybody's game. You just got to get on a run and you got to carry that momentum. I think the Thunder are still the favorites, and I don't see how you can argue against it.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'll start with the West. The Rockets will be interesting. I'm not sure the KD experiment will help, but they don't have a point guard right now. So when Fred VanVleet gets back, I think that will significantly help their team. But it's kind of a wait and see thing. They just have a lot of long athletic guys. I like Shingun a lot. I think he was an all-star last year, so I expect him to take an even bigger leap this year. He's really kind of like a baby Joker. Like he could do it all.
Mhm.
I mean, he could shoot the three, he could shoot from mid-range, he bangs and clangs, he rebounds. He's definitely one of the better passers in the NBA, not just as a big man, but period. The Thunder are, I think, the clear-cut favorite right now. The Clippers don't look like a whole lot of anything. I think the Nuggets are still gonna be there at the top 2 to 5 team out of the West. I think the Timberwolves are gonna be more of the same. I don't know if they take a big leap. I don't know if Ant really takes a big leap, you know, I love him. I think the Grizzlies gonna be very solid this year. Their rookie Cedric Coward has looked very good. His first 3 games of the season, he's been, like, having double doubles with, like, 20 and 9 and 20 and 10. So that along with JJJ and Santi Aldama and Ja's been knocking down threes, and hopefully he could just stay healthy for a full season or at least give them 70 games. The Grizzlies, I think, could be very like a 4 to 6 team out of the West right now. The Lakers, like LeBron is out for the first couple weeks. Luka went down after what game 2. Austin Reeves is dropping 50 out there. Rui and DeAndre Ayton are looking good, but I think the Lakers are like a playoff team, but like I don't think they make a good playoff run. Just how they, I would just I don't think they're athletic enough, and I think LeBron and Luka are just going to be like kind of canceling each other out as far as their greatness goes. Um, I'm with you. The East is wide open. The Heat have looked great so far. The 76ers have been surprising. Um, I was like how VJ Escom and Tyrese Maxey have just been torching the league. I know Tyrese is leading the league in scoring. Paul George is not back. Uh, Bede is still like on minutes restriction. God, who was their rook? Jarrett McLean, the rookie,
Yeah, from
takes
2
his nail.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, he's not back yet. So it's like 76ers can be a very real team this coming year. Magic off to a slow start, but I'm not really fretting it. Atlanta's off to a slow start, but I think they're gonna be there at the end of the day. Hopefully Trey Young is finally in an all-star because he's been getting snubbed for a couple years. Um, the team that's kind of been a surprise though has been like Detroit Pistons, especially after the year they've had last year. Like they've just kind of looked like bad. And I've seen Cade Cunningham have a couple of like 12.4 assists, 4 rebound games. Like I expected Detroit not to win or be second, but I definitely didn't see them off to the slow start that they are. And I'm with you. The Bulls look very solid this year, and I think they can grow into a solid team. So I'll be interested to see what they develop into as well. And and then you got to mention the Celtics in there. I was watching the uh, I don't know what you call it, but I was watching the pregame show with Kenny and Ernie and Shaq and Charles, and they were talking about, and none of them think the Celtics are going to be any good this year. Like I know Jason Tatum. I was talking about this with Rod a couple weeks ago. Like I don't think we've talked about this, but I was shocked when I saw Jason Tatum's hype video, and he's like already back on the court, moving around, dribbling, shooting threes, deadlifting 400 pounds. I was like shocked,
Yeah,
but I
no,
was
we
like,
talked about it, yeah.
okay, yeah, but it's like I I think they will because they have way too much invested in him. But I just hope he waits till he's all the way back and healthy. The the last thing I want to see is Jason Tatum. He's great for the NBA, even if he's on a rival team or on the best whatever. But I like Jason Tatum and I like the Celtics in general. So I just hope he gets fully healthy and fully medically cleared before he comes back. Because the way that some of these it might not be bad for the Celtics being the lottery because the way college basketball looked, some of the top 5, 6 prospects, like if the Celtics add one of those dudes like Cam Boozer or uh God, I can't think of it. But like there's like 4 or 5 guys that look like complete studs, early in the season right now. The only guy I haven't seen play yet is Bryce James. I'm interested to see how he looks at Arizona this year. But, like, next year's NBA draft looks like it's gonna be because like, this year is just kinda like Cooper Flag and then Ace Bailey. I mean, yeah, VJ Escom, like, looks great. Con Newpel, like, he's been solid so far this year. But next year's NBA, like, DJ Dynasta, I think that's how you say his name.
Yeah.
Like, some of those guys are looking like absolute freaks. Even Cayenne Anthony, Carmelo Anthony's son, he looked like pretty solid so far in college. Um, but that's pretty much it for what I see on the NBA.
Yeah.
Early, I won't really say anything. The NBA doesn't really get going till around Christmas time, so we'll know more what the NBA really looks like. I think more truth will be told around Christmas time. All right, last topic, then we'll get out of here. We've been about an hour so far. Is we had the what day did it pop last week? Like Tuesday,
Yeah, it
Wednesday
was
or
a
Tuesday,
weird
right?
yeah.
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 But we have the poker and NBA gambling, we'll just call it scandal, primarily focused around Terry Rozier, Chauncey Billups, and then the mob. Or yeah, I guess it's the mob, not the mafia.
Yeah,
Even though they're basically kind
the
of the same.
Italian yeah, whatever, the Italian
Yeah,
criminal organization, we'll say that to
yeah.
be
And
politically correct.
and I'll just say this. I don't know if you see it on your time. I've seen it on my timeline from Black social media that they're like, why have they only named Terry Rozier and Chauncey Billups? Why are they playing the race card? Why haven't they released any of the uh names from the mafia families or the mob families? I'm like, so they've released the names of the families, but not any individual members. And my 2 things, and we could talk about, or I'll just give the floor to you. My 2 points on that, and I'm saying this so I could clip this so I could post it on social media if I do, but I've already commented on all those posts. Is, for one, a NBA Hall of Famer and a current NBA player who has made $140 million in his career has Terry Rozier has had. He's been suspended for the year. He's still going to get paid his full salary of like 29 million this year, which I think is crazy while he's under investigation.
Think they said no.
Okay. Well, last I saw,
I
yeah, you can
think they
fact
said
check me on
no.
that.
Yeah, let me fact check it real quick.
Um, But I'm like, those 2 guys are gonna be the 2 names that people click on. If you just put out that the mob has gambling ties, nobody knows who these people are, even if you do name them. So, one, you put Chauncey Billups' name as the face because he's the current NBA coach who's a Hall of Famer on one of the best teams of all time, the Detroit Pistons in the 2000s. Um, as a name to give you the click that you need to really make this story take traction. 2, you whether people want to realize it or not, how the mob and mafia moves in movies and shows, there is by whatever level you want to, there's some truth to that. So if you
Yeah.
just start naming people
Yeah.
before they can actually get, because they said there's a lot of names left to be named that are
Mhm.
athletes. So you
Yeah.
can't just go naming everybody who you have an investigation because they will go get whacked off or they'll go get missing before they're brought to justice. And I'll just say
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I don't know, have you caught any of the podcast with, the guy that was tied to Ipe and Shohei's gambling, Investigation.
I've heard about it, but I haven't actually
Okay.
watched it.
It's good,
Yeah,
but no, I mean, dude, listen, to sit here and say that these guys don't bet, you've lost your mind, and I did fact check you. 11:29 AM, it came through that, the Terry Rozier and Chauncey Billups, will not be paid while on leaves of absence.
gotcha.
And who was the other coach? Damon Jones, is that right? Damon Jones?
Well, Damon,
That was with the Lakers, and he's
yeah,
somehow tied into
yeah.
okay, yeah, because he was giving
He's
out
been out of
insider.
the NBA. He's the only one that
Yeah.
wasn't currently in the NBA, but former NBA player and coach.
Yeah, and so to tell me, and again, like yesterday at 8 o'clock at night, I got the update. NCAA delays rule change allowing athletes to bet on pro sports. So, like, you're telling, like, I don't know. I struggle with it. To your point, though, with what you're saying about, Black TikTok wanting to say that it's a race thing and this, that, and the other. They don't. A little bit of it is just they just don't know what they don't know, and if
Yeah,
you're just blind to
ignorant.
it, oblivious to it, like, that's how they move. Like, you can't just start throwing names out here willy-nilly and think that, like, bad stuff's not gonna happen. But to that point, like, if you're gonna sit here and try to tell me that these guys do not bet on other sports or in some capacity, maybe even their own in the sense of like, hey, I just want to throw money on Lakers and Mavericks and I play on the Magic. Do I agree with it in all the senses? No. But when you're just throwing it in their faces all the time of, hey, this episode is brought to you, or this broadcast is brought to you by BetMGM or ESPN Bet, it's like, it's in your face. Like, you just got to suck it up. Like, I am absolutely okay with people betting, not in their own sport and definitely not on their own team. But if they want to bet on something else, bet on something else. I don't care. Bet on something else. Or if you bet in your own sport, the only exception is you can only bet on your team to win, like what Pete Rose did. Like, I never thought Pete Rose should have been banned lifetime or anything like that. Like, that guy bet on himself to win. Like, as a competitor, you're always wanting to win, so why would you not bet on yourself? But man, I don't know. It's crazy time. This isn't like the first like incident of this. The Shohei and the Ipe thing. Um, there, all these guys do it, and you're just gonna start seeing names called, and it's either somebody's gonna take the fall for it, and it's just gonna be Terry Rozier and Chauncey Billups, or everybody's gonna take the fall for it, and you're just not gonna have an NBA. Or we'll just be watching the NBA inside of white collar prisons, and we'll just be watching them on jail yards. Who knows?
My only thing, and I'm glad they're delaying. I saw that earlier today. That I'm glad they're delaying the ruling on it because I want to say I was watching a Dan Levitard show because his show has become less about what is how the sports games are going and what's happening around sports. So it's not quite political, but it's like kind of like the political side of sports. And he made a point, which that was kind of my first thought too, is like, okay, if you start letting college athletes bet on sports, not all, but enough of these college athletes, especially at the Power Five schools, have teammates that go into pro sports and they have their number. So they have a beeline to have easy information. And let's say some kid on the basketball team went to school with Bo Nix a couple years ago. Broncos are on their bye week and he's hanging with Bo, and Bo's like, man, I just can't wait to get Evan Ingram back fully healthy. You're like, wait, Evan Ingram hasn't been fully healthy this whole time? Like, oh, well, no, man, he's been dealing with this. It's just why we haven't really featured him. But I think we're after this bye, we're going to be fully. And now it was like, oh, I'm going to start betting on Evan Ingram 5 catches, 70 yards going forward because now I know he's healthy. So I think that those conversations are so easy to be, and there's no way you can regulate that stuff.
No.
Even with the digital footprint that we have now today. So I think if you allow even college athletes to be able to bet, especially on their sport, like a college basketball player getting to bet on NBA, I think that still opens up too many loopholes. And it's like, well, one thing we know is that gambling they're not going to regress on gambling. They're only going to allow more. But it's like we do need to have some capping regulations because there's you can't. It's hard to even watch, and I don't gamble on basketball hardly any. If I do, it's more in the playoffs when things are everything is really on the line. Because I even saw a guy making a rant about the Clippers game last night because a lot of people, I think the over under on James Harden points was, I don't know if you saw this, the over under on James Harden points last night in the Clippers game was was 20 points. James Harden had 20 points at halftime. He had 0 points the whole second half, and he played 32 minutes in the game. And then, so of course, like these people, I saw multiple people post screenshots of how like their $500 bet and their $700 payout didn't hit just because of James Harden's. And the guy was kind of like made a good point. He's like, so you're telling me these guys can't go into the locker room and pull up their betting apps to see what their over unders are and to be like, oh, I'm not going to score in the second half. I'm like, well, one, that's a little bit faulty.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of people in the comments who were like, dude, if you watch the game, I forgot who they were playing last night. The Pelicans, I think it was. They're like, the Pelicans kind of like let James cook the whole game. And in the second half, they just bracketed him and double teamed and triple teamed him. And they forced the ball out of his hand. They made other people score the whole second half. Like, if you watch the game, it like made sense why he didn't score 1 point in the
Yeah.
second half. And it's like, and then you also have people like, well, if y'all are never hitting on the overs, why don't you just bet on the unders? But it makes it so hard to like look at these games objectively and try to enjoy them. So as like, as much as, and there's somebody who I very casually bet, but even as a casual better or more, I'm much more into fantasy sports. I do think there should be enough guardrails and firewalls to this so that we can keep the integrity of the game. Because of all the three major sports, football is obviously the least likely to be thrown because there's only 16 games to be played or 17 games to be played, and each game is so widely viewed. Whereas like the NBA, once you get to about halfway through the season and the Portland Trail Blazers are 7-29 and nobody's paying attention to them, and their games don't start on the East Coast till 9:30 at night and nobody's paying
Mhm.
attention, it's very easy to start pulling starters out of the game mid-third quarter, let the team tank, and all kind of weird things happen. I think that's why Chauncey has been brought into some of the point shaving stuff and the poker stuff, as well as Terry Rozier was, I think, less with the poker stuff and more with the point shaving stuff, but both of them
Mhm.
linked on both sides of the equation.
Yeah, no, I mean, dude, I've seen some clips. I mean, Terry Rozier got his ass caught red-handed.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
there's some clips,
yeah,
dude,
yeah,
that you're
yeah,
just
yeah.
like, "Oh,
Yeah,
man,"
Terry
like,
Rozier's
you
going down.
he's that man will never play in the NBA again. I mean, I saw one where he, like, had, like, the foot injury, and it was, like, just so happens that was, like, supposed to be his highest, like, over under or it was something wild, and you're just like, "Yeah, you got caught, dude." But
But you know,
nah,
like, they, especially when it comes to like the B level NBA, because I did get in a debate with somebody last week that they're like, what's to keep Kevin Durant, or because Kevin Durant, he can't stand when people call him out for like them missing their parlays because Kevin Durant scored 26 out of 29 or whatever. Kevin like is like F your parlay, bro. Go get stick to your day job or something like that.
yeah.
Kevin Durant is probably the biggest troll there is in the NBA, along with Draymond Green. But it'll always probably be B level and C level players that do outside of like Shohei, that will be doing a lot of the gambling. One, because A level players are getting these huge like lifetime, like 300 and 400 and these Superman. These dudes don't need to risk. Like I had somebody arguing me that he could see it realistic that like Michael Jordan is currently gambling on sports. I'm like, dude, Michael Jordan is worth $3.5 billion. I said, first of all, it would be a huge red flag. I said, for Michael Jordan to probably get his juices going, he probably would have to bet $1 million on the game for it to even make him sweat. And he's way better off going to bet that on like a golf game or in NASCAR, or allow he has a NASCAR team, so he's much better off spending that money in NASCAR and improving his team somehow to make him more money down the road than he is on an individual prop bet. Uh, but the point I was trying to make, they it's always the gambling sites that see that, because they're the ones that caught Terry Rozier, and they're the ones that caught Jonathan Murray last year, because they could see, oh, there's $100,000 being bet on um, Lonzo Ball tonight, and Lonzo Ball has never had more than $10,000 bet on him. That's a red flag. Let's watch the game to make sure. Up, yep, he's point shaving, he's done. And so, like, you're the likelihood of you getting caught is just like I saw. I know I'm going a little bit of rant, but I saw a professor who caught, like, he was at a major university. He caught like 115 of like his 130 students who were using AI to write their essay. He caught them, and then he screenshotted it and put them all the papers online with their names on it to expose all the kids who cheated, and they all got dismissed from the class. It's like, dude, the way as good as technology is to help you cheat and to help you get, the technology is still good enough, or it will catch up very quickly to catch all these culprits as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, no, it's a crazy time, man. It's gonna be interesting to see because I mean, I think the craziest thing about all of it is that the FBI, like the FBI was like the arresting party. Like they came in, made the bus. Like that's the craziest part of all of this is like we've never seen the FBI get involved in professional sports, hardly ever. And so now that they're in here and they are cuffing people out of their homes and out of their cars, you're just like, wow, like it's crazy.
I think the only other time the FBI has really gotten into sports at all, really, that I can remember, was the Tim Donahue incident, and that's only because I watched the special that ESPN put out on that like a year and a half ago or whatever. But again, that was mob Vegas betting stuff and under the table stuff and money being handed over and envelopes and all that kind of stuff too. And it takes the FBI to be, and like this investigation hadn't been going on for like like they said they've been following this stuff for like years.
Hmm.
So like and this is the last thing, I'm just gonna be interested to see what other names,
Yeah.
especially like NBA, it's probably gonna be a lot of former players and not like a lot of current players, or maybe some like current coaches and former players. What names will, because I could see like, and but I could see like somebody like a Robert Ory, or somebody like a household name that you knew before that's been running in these circles, who's from that like 1995 to 2010 playing era, who was running with these guys. Because the one thing I did see from Nick Wright, because he's big into like blackjack and poker and all that, because he was big on the story, was that um the big wig like poker guys, who they've known that they were running this scam for over 2 years. They just never said anything and didn't pop up any red flags, and they allowed other people to get involved with it, and they kept their hands out of it. But they knew, because they also knew the FBI was running an investigation on it, and they wanted to see those guys go down because they were running illegal illegal gambling games, and had the x-ray tables and the infrared
Hmm.
glasses and all that. So the poker world people and the blackjack world people, was really poker. The poker world people have known about the guy at the top that are playing like the world. They've known about this illegal ring going on for years. Because Gilbert Arenas was in this with, I think, the Saudi Arabians or whatever. And he was cleared of that. I wouldn't be surprised if he's brought back in. Um,
I saw I saw a TikTok the other day and it was like Gilbert Arenas on trial. Nah, it was him. It was
yeah,
all him. It was him. It was him. I died laughing. I was like, that's good. That's comical.
yeah,
But
man. Well, man, it's been a good show. Let's wrap it
yeah.
up. We got a good hour 20 in, just basically, but man, it was all good stuff, and it was good chatting with you, good catching up. We gotta get a little bit more consistent with this.
Yes.
Uh,
Yes.
but like I said, we're in that good apex where we still got the World Series going, the NBA starting off. NFL full swing. So let's keep this ball rolling. We thank y'all for who have been listening. Again, make sure y'all like, share. If you watched this far, probably the last 10 people who are still watching this, make sure you like, share, subscribe, and comment down below. And that really helps us in the algorithm. And we will catch y'all next time.
Peace.